Hi there, Sharon here from Little Bell Lane Creations. Welcome to the Galaxy Sew Along, the Galaxy Block of the Month. I can't believe we are finally here. Little background information. I originally fussy cut digitally this quilt late last year. When Chula Pink was first showing the previews of the fabric, I knew straight away what I was going to make. So I went down a little bit different route for me. Normally I wait for the fabrics to come into store and then I will go about creating. But this time round, I went and digitally fussy cut. So what you're seeing on the front of your package is the digital mock-up of the quilt we're going to make. So that's another reason I'm sewing along with you as part of the block of the month. So I actually get to make the quilt that I've spent all these hours on digitally fussy cutting. So I can actually touch and play, and I'm excited to pat the fabrics and have them be everything that we wanted them to be when we saw the digital releases and images of the fabric. Okay, so let's get started. You do not have to be in the block of the month to partake in the sew along. You do not have to use Chula Pink fabrics, as awesome as they are. Feel free to grab whatever fabrics you love and come and have a play. There are two options to join in. You can buy the Galaxy kit, which I don't have one here at the moment. So it's like a traditional kit that you get from Little Bell Lane Creations. It's presented in the box. It has the complete pattern, all the templates, and all the papers you need to create this quilt pictured on the front. You just need to supply your own fabrics. I'm actually using one of those boxed kits to make a second version, which you'll see throughout the process of me making this version. And my second version is again with Chula Pink fabrics, but it's being made from my stash. It's more of a colour graduating kind of quilt. It's still a work in progress. I'll share photos. I might even put one up here for you so you can see the progress of where I'm at the moment. I'm only 4 blocks in. The colour graduation sort of goes down on an angle. And like I said, it's using solids. It's using out of print Chula fabric. So yeah, it's coming from my stash. The second way to partake is to sign up for a block of the month. So you need to sign up through a quilt shop. For this one, I don't sell fabrics. You need to go to them and they will kit up the monthly fabrics for you, and you can come and sew along with me and we can duplicate these blocks and turn them into the real thing. Okay, so let's look at what you get in month 1 installment. So we're making 2.5 blocks this month just to kickstart it. So you're going to be presented with your box, of which you can open. Let me just slip mine open. Well, this poor box has been open and closed so many times. So when you open your box, you are being greeted by some goodies. So first, you'll have your templates. Please don't stress if you have light green templates. Due to COVID and, supply chain issues, we have had to pivot and choose a different template plastic. The only thing that's different is the colour. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 templates. You've got a bag of papers clearly labelled for month 1. Each month you will get a new instalment of papers. There are more in here than what you are going to need per month. So you have to keep the spare papers, because the spare papers are what we're going to use to help square up our quilt at the end. So do not throw out the excess papers each month. Get a Ziploc bag, throw them back into this bag. Whatever you do, do not throw them out. If you are in the block of the month, you have a complimentary fussy cutting viewer. If you have the full kit, you don't have a fussy cutting viewer. So if you want one, you need to go and look for my Fussy Cutting Viewers Collection one, and it has the appropriate star shape in there for you. Then we have the A5 booklet. Again, if you have purchased the full kit, you're getting the full pattern up front, so you can jump ahead, finish your quilt if that's what you choose to do. Those of us doing the block of the month, we have a partial. We get the rest of the pattern in month 12 when we finish off our quilt. So full colour, you got all the blocks here. We get to see how the quilt is laid out, and these are the blocks we're making this month. So your shop who you signed up with your block of the month will have put together a fabric bundle for you, so we all get to play with the same fabrics. So this month you're going to have your spots, your black and your white spots. You're having a black solid, a white solid. Okay, we're going to have a fat 1/8 of Aster and a 10-inch square of Peacock. This is the tiny stripes and tiny spots coordinates. Then we're going to have a fat 8 of Fern, and we're going to have a 10-inch square of Peachy, together with this amazing print fabric. I absolutely love it. This is Dear John in Glimmer. So that's what everyone who signed up for the block of the month should have. So there is more than enough fabrics in these to make the 2.5 blocks that we're going to make this month. I designed the fabric requirements on this to be a little bit lenient. So you're going to have extras to play with. If you don't like the fact, you know, if you don't want this green around here and you want to substitute a different fabric, you've got enough to play with so you can tweak it a little bit and make it your own, so to speak. Now, I do need a couple of housekeeping things. Your spots and stripes fabric each month. Every month you're going to get your solids. Okay, they're going to be for our joiner blocks, our hexagon joiner blocks, which are going to help us join our bigger blocks together. I'll show you how to strip cut these shortly, but I need you to not throw away any fabric. I need you to strip cut the complete strip every month. The excess pieces you cut, I need you to save, because again, that's all going to go towards finishing our quilt at the end of the project. The spots and the stripes, you are not getting every month. I think it works out to almost every second month you're going to get your spots and your stripes, because this month you are going to be able to fussy cut enough pieces from your spots and stripes to do this month plus next month. Okay, so don't throw out your fabric. Keep it in a project bag or whatever. Don't throw it out. Keep it. You're going to need this fabric. The tiny coordinates, over the course of the first 6 months, you're going to get every tiny coordinate that has been released in this range. So each month you're going to get 2 fat 8s and you're going to get 2-inch squares. So at the end of the 6 months, you should have the complete collection that you've had to play with, and then we'll repeat it and mix up the order that they come to you in the second 6 months. The fabric that we are going to be fussy cutting, it is a generous cut. And I have chosen to do that because I want you to relax and have fun. I didn't want to limit you to a small amount of fabric that if you made a mistake or weren't happy with what you'd done, that you've then got to go back to your quilt shop, source more fabric, and it becomes a pain, if you understand where I'm coming from. Like I said, I want you to relax, have fun, enjoy the process. No stressing allowed. Okay, so this month you are getting a 1/2 yard of this print. I think there's only 2 prints, which there are 2 colorways of, so there will be 4 months that you will be getting only a fat 1/4, because a fat 1/4 is more than enough to do the 2 or 2.5 blocks, plus make extra blocks and have a play and have fun and not get stressed. So the most important thing, no stressing. Okay, so you've got, start that again because that's probably too close for you. Okay, so we've got the pattern, we've got the fabrics, you've got your templates, you've got your fussy cutting viewer, we've got the papers. What else do you need? You need your basic sewing supplies. So if you haven't already, these were covered in my Back to Basics English paper piecing mini series. So what we need is a sandpaper board, a glue pen, a fabric pencil. You'll need glue pen refills, which I haven't got here. I've got a pin cushion with my needle in it. We need a fussy cutting mirror. This is purely optional, but if you've not played with one before, it's a good idea to get one. Scissors, I've got my thimble, and these are predominantly the 2 threads that I will be playing with through this whole block of the month. So I've got 655, which is a soft cream colour, and I've got 625, which is black. I can pretty much sew the entire quilt in just these 2 coloured threads. So once you've got those around, let's have a play and get going with the first step of the month. Okay, so one of the first things I want you to do is go and familiarise yourself with the pattern. Take the time to sit down, read it, and just familiarise yourself with it. Know what we're doing. Don't just look at what this video tells you to do and go and do it. You do actually need to go and read the pattern. I'm not going to be super pattern specific. This is not a tutorial for the pattern. This is just a guide to the processes. And when you open your pattern, like I said previously, you've got your nice color blocks. We've got the layout. You've got a welcome, okay? It tells you what you're going to be making each month, what you get in what month, what you get in month 12 and month 1. We've got the fabrics you've just been given from your block of the month shop, or if you're doing the complete quilt, you're just pulling from your stash or buying or whatever. And we've got the 2.5 blocks that we're making this month. So our idea, what I'm doing, I'm going to duplicate these blocks exactly. Plus, I'm going to do extra fussy cutting from the fabric we've been given to just give you an idea of what other blocks can be achieved if you don't necessarily want the deer in it, you want a floral, etc. Just to show you all the different options. Okay, now we've got a bit of an introduction. The Galaxy sim block. This is important when you come to cut the sim pieces out. It will need to be reversed. So like the picture shows, you'll be cutting for each block 6 this way, 6 the other way. If you don't do that, you're going to get 12 pieces all going the same way, and you're not going to have the opposite 6. But with that regard, if you do accidentally cut 12 of all this, you do have enough fabric to go back and cut another 6. I have allowed for those whoopsies. Okay, Tiny Beasts is what we're playing with. We're actually using 10 of the 12 prints that are released in Tiny Beasts. We're not playing with the rainbow ladybugs. Just let me get one. Okay, there are 2 colorways in this print. I decided that I wasn't including them in this block of the month. And of course, then we've got the black and the white and the spots from Lineworks. Okay, there's a little bit of information there on your fussy cutting and the types of fussy cutting, some tips. Okay, your cutting instructions, your best assembling, best practices. I'm actually going to do that for you live to show you. The double kites, I'm actually going to show you that as well to make sure that you get enough out of the fabric that the shops have given you. They've given you a 5-inch strip when it comes to every 2 months, so that you can get at least 18 double kites out of each strip. Okay, how to assemble your half stars, creating your large hexagons. These are the joiner hexagons. We're also going to be making 4 of those each month. So I thought today we might start with the basic strip cutting for our hexagons. What else have we got? Okay, then we go into some general instructions for EPP, which is well worth the read as well. And then we've got some more colour pictures of the blocks. So like I said, let's get back to the strip cutting of our black and our white fabrics. Okay, we're going to be strip cutting our large kites for our filler black and white hexagon pieces. Now, strip cutting can be adapted for any English paper piecing shape that you want to do. It's a great way to cut shapes in bulk if you're not fussy cutting. So all you need to do is to measure the height of your template, which this one is, the point is a fraction over 2.5 inches. So I'm going to cut my strips to 2.5 inches. The quilt shop that you've signed up with has been asked to give you a 3-inch cut. The reason I have done that is because some people prefer a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on their fabric. So if that case, just cut it, you strip a little bit bigger, add a little bit extra when you're cutting, move it, just make it bigger. So I'm going to cut mine down, and I need a new rotary cutter blade, but don't have one handy. Okay, so I've cut my strip, and I could actually be layering and cutting my black ones at the same time. So, actually, you know what? I might do it. Let's do it. Show you how quick strip cutting can be. I'm just going to pull that over. And black is a little bit hard to see on my black cutting board. Okay. Like I said, this is a super simple and quick way. lay that out. And what you'll notice, I'm putting the ends together, layering it on top of each other. Okay, so strip cutting is as simple as, so obviously I'm going to start cutting from down here and up, so we're just going to eyeball that. My first one I need to take out, and I'm actually going to, can you still see that? Yes. I'm just going to trim it down to size. Okay, 4 cut just like that. So I'm going to come along my strip and I'm just going to start working. Now I can either pull this to the side a little bit and then trim. Then I'm going to flip my template over. I'm going to come back. So again, I'm going to eyeball where that one comes from. So I could then again trim, or I could just continue on like this. And I'm just moving it over ever so slightly each time I go. Continue that down your length of fabric. I don't think you need to see me do that over and over again. I'm going to layer, so what's that, 4, 8, 12 pieces of fabric. I'm going to put my template back on. This would be easier if I had a sharp blade. It still worked. Super quick. So repeat that for the length of your fabric. Okay, I'm back. I have strip cut my complete strips. I have my pile of black and my pile of white. That's it for strip cutting for this version. The rest is going to be fussy cut. Well, I am fussy cutting the rest of it. You may choose to strip cut some of the sim blocks, which was the one that we had to reverse, but you'll see more about that shortly. So I'm going to pack this away and we'll come back and we'll look at what to do next. Okay, I like to get more of the boring fussy cutting and prep work out of the way early. So you've just seen me strip cut these pieces ready for basting. Next, I'm going to move on to the spots. Now I have done a little bit of prep work on these. No, can you see what I've done there? I've traced the template. So when you get this fabric every second month, you get the spots. You need to go along the complete width of the fabric and trace the double kite. Now, this one here, I just cut it off the bolt at home. So you can see it starts off, my fabric obviously wasn't wound straight, which does happen. So about here, I've had to, you see I've got them going in a line here, and I've had to move up a spot and work my way across. So I've almost finished. I'm going to show you how to do it for those who are more visual learners. So all I do is I get my template. I put you'll see on your template that one side is etched with the writing and the dash line, etc., and the other is nice and smooth. I like to put the etched side down because then the dashed line here is against the fabric and you get to see exactly where things are going to sit. For those of you who may be new to English paper piecing, I recommend you go back and watch my Back to Basics series because it gives you a little bit more of an in-depth as to what these etched lines and that are. But basically anything inside, can you see anything inside these lines is what your papers are. Anything outside is your seam allowance. All Lilibelle Lane templates come with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So if you are somebody who prefers a 3/8 of an inch or bigger, in some instances you can go bigger using my templates. Because I do a lot of fussy cutting, my fabric requirements are worked out on a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you can see here, these two pieces, there's, I don't know, is that 1/2 inch in between? So if you prefer a bigger seam allowance, you've got your drawn line here, just cut in the middle. You've got extra fabric that way. So what you're going to do, back on track, we've got the etched line facing down. Now what I want to do is not get these white dots showing inside the etched line. So what I'm doing is I'm lining my holes up there, and I'm making sure my etched line up here doesn't cross over into these white dots. When I'm happy that it sits, and this template I have sized pretty much perfect to fit in there, so you've got a little bit of a seam allowance, I just hold it, and with your fabric pencil, just twist your pencil and mark your dots. And the reason we use the sandpaper board is because it grips your fabric and makes tracing your template super easy. I do that one, I flip it over, and I move on to the next one. So again, I'm making sure that my etch lines don't go over onto those dots. And I mark it. So every second month when you receive this fabric, do the complete length of the fabric, and the same with the white. And because I didn't want to take up too much of your time, you can see that I've already started tracing this template onto the white, and I've almost finished. So we'll just go to the end and we'll pick up where I ended, make sure my etched line is down, and center it so I'm not getting the black dots inside the etched line this time, and trace. So what we're actually doing here, it's what I like to call a highlight fussy cut, because what we're doing is we're highlighting the dots, the black dots or the white dots. So yeah, it's a highlight fussy cut. And because, whoops, I'll go back where the dots are. Because I sized these templates to fit nicely between the dots, I've not worried about putting an etched circle on it. You don't need it, and it's good to get into the practice of not needing specific circles and stuff marked. So in my second version that I'm making from my stash of this quilt, I'm also doing the black and white spots. But the piece hexagons that we cut the black and white fabric from before, I'm doing something a little different with them. I'm excited to show you that later. Okay, so that one's fully traced, and then it's just a simple matter of grabbing your scissors and sitting there and cutting them out. And I actually find this process quite therapeutic. And I'm not going to sit here and cut them all out in front of you, because I think you know how to cut with scissors. So again, if you're a person that prefers a 3/8 of an inch or a bigger seam allowance, just cut straight down the middle and you're going to get an extra seam allowance. But I prefer my 1/4 inch. I use a 1/4 inch on my sewing machine, so I use a 1/4 inch on my EPP. So you can just sit there and cut all those out. I'll do that later. As I said, you don't need to see me do that bit, do you? Okay, referring to your pattern, and we need to look at cutting our sim pieces and our small kite pieces. So they're the next bits we need to do. Now, in your pattern, you will see, we just go back and open it. These are our month 1 blocks. So it tells you how many to cut, but you can just look at the picture. For each full block, you're going to need 6 of the centre fussy cuts, which we'll get into more detail when we play with the fabric later. You need 6 of the small kites, and you need 12 sims. You need 6 one way and 6 in reverse. Okay, so we're going to cut for this block. So I want 12 sims and I want 6 diamonds. So we will grab out our striped fabric. Now, you do not have to fussy cut the striped fabric. My OCD demands that I fussy cut my striped fabric. I couldn't survive if I didn't. You'll see in your pattern that the stripes are fussy cut. So for the sakes of this quilt, I am cutting it exactly as per the pattern you see. Okay, so in your pattern, you have diagrams of how I've laid my templates out to cut my fabric on the tiny stripes and the tiny spots. So I'm not going to do that in front of you. It's the same principle of taking the 2 templates, putting them down and tracing them. There's also instructions on if you're not fussy cutting, like maybe you're doing your sim blocks from your tiny spots, just to do the strip cutting method. So you choose what works best for you. Like I've said previously, your stripes, you're getting a fat 1/8 of fabric each month. So you can see you've got a little bit extra to play with if you do happen to make a mistake. Or say you want to mix things up. Say you don't like the green that's going to be on the second block and you want to make 2 purple. You should have enough if you fussy cut frugally to play around a little bit. The choice is really up to you, or you can duplicate exactly what's in the pattern. So it's just really important. Let me move this up a bit further so you can see. Okay, see how I've got cut them? I've got 6 going one way and then I've got 6 going the other way. It's really important that we get 6 and then 6 in reverse, which actually means flipping your template over, not turning it around, because you're going to get 12 of the same piece. So I've cut 6 down, and as you can see, I'm cutting with the stripe going from this point on my template to this point on my template, which is why mine's on an angle. If you wanted your stripes to go this way along your template, you can strip cut. Cut a strip and then go for it. Same as if you did wanted your stripes going across the short bit, strip cut. You don't have to trace. But I'm tracing. My hot pink line is going from one corner to this corner, like I said. So I've traced 6, picked up my template, flipped it over, put it down and traced the other 6. And then I've got the tiny kite and I've just gone and flipped and traced another 6. So once I've done that for the right number of pieces, and I've just copied, like I said, the blocks that are in the pattern for this month, I will sit down and cut them out. So I've done that for the purple. With the purple, we have this cute aqua spot. You can see here, I've gone and traced my 6 centers. And if I wanted to, say, swap out either the purple or the green stripe for one of these blocks and use the spots, I've got enough to strip cut a couple of rows and get my 12 sims. So it's giving you that little bit of extra fabric so that you can have a play and maybe add your own little spin onto the layout of the quilt, or you can duplicate exactly what I'm doing in the pattern. Choice is purely yours. There might be a color that comes in future months that you just don't like. What you've got a little bit extra to play with. So I've traced it onto that, I've traced it onto that, and I've done the same for my other 2. The green, I don't have the names in front of me. So I'm not doing small kites in the green, so I've just done my 6 and 6 of my sim blocks. And then this orange for the half blocks, because we're doing 2.5 blocks this month. I've got my 6 kites. So technically I could have strip cut and done my 6 sim blocks. Just excuse my dog in the background chasing his tail. And then I could have also strip cut my small kites, but I was tracing the rest, so I just traced these as well. So they just need to be cut out and ready to baste. So I'm going to go cut these out. I will come back when everything is ready to be basted, and then after that we will move on to the fun bit of fussy cutting our deer fabric. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, I have finished hand cutting all my pieces out. I've grouped the tiny dots and the tiny stripes to match the blocks we're making this month. Made sure there's enough each of those. I've counted out the correct number of the spot fabric. The rest I have just put binding clips on, and they'll get put away for next month, so I won't have to worry about cutting those out. And the same for our alternating black and white filler hexagons. I've taken enough out of the pile for this month, and I will put the rest aside for next month. So now it's time to baste. It's just a matter of picking a shape you want to start with and going from there. So I am going to combine all these now, because I can baste all those at the same time. Those, and those, and then those. So it's just a matter of picking a shape, and it's a matter of working out where I've placed my bag of papers. Okay, so this is month one's bag of papers. Like I've said previously, there will be more papers in here than what you need for month one. So please make sure you keep your extras safe and secure until month two arrives. So I actually suggest the box that everything came in. Just put it all back in there till next month. Or if you have a project bag or like something just to keep everything all together. So this is one of the only times that all your paper shapes are going to be mixed in together. That's not a huge problem if you want to sit and sort some, which we can do. So I'm going to go sort these and I will come back and we will start basting once that's done. Okay, I've just zoomed in a little bit for you. As you can see, I've sorted all my papers and I've just placed them on my piles of fabric. So I've also, my diamonds, which we're going to play with later when we fussy cut the deer fabric, I've just put another binding clip on them so that I can toss them to the side. I'm not going to lose them. I'm going to move these out of shot for now. I'm going to move that out of shot for now. And we're going to pay our attention to the large kite. Now I'm not going to baste white on white, that's a bit pointless, you're not going to see. I'm very methodical when I baste any shapes. I tend to lay them all out. I baste in batches, so I'll just go and lay them all out. I've just got to make sure I stay within screenshot. That's not all of them, but you get the idea. I'll lay out my whole workspace with the pieces that I'm about to baste. I go and drop a paper on each of them to get me going. Help if I drop it the right way, Sharon. And then I will just come in and baste. So remember when we glue baste with a pen, it's a pen, but it's got glue in it. We need to treat it like a pen and use it like a pen. So see how I've got this pointy end on mine? That's the desired effect we want. We don't want to be basting straight down using the whole surface of the glue. You're going to get too much glue on your papers, which is going to make it really hard to get your papers out of your work later on. So these are not fussy cut, so I can just center them. I'm going to take a swipe of glue from edge to edge, trying to leave a little gap at the edge. That's so later on when we come to sew it together, we're not sewing through gunk. Now, as we fold these over, it is really important that when you're rolling the fabric over, that you push it so it's nice and tight, not stretched, but nice and tight, nice and firm against the edge of your papers. So we're working our way around, so you can see that. See if I can bring it. See how I leave like an edge, a clear edge of glue at the end? That's so that when we fold it over, our fabric's not going to get gunked up with glue on the edge, and we're going to be able to get our needle through later on to sew. I don't know if you've noticed, I have a habit of putting my finger on the corner that I've just done. Just gives it an extra few minutes, or sorry, few seconds of pressure, and holds the glue down to the fabric and just gives it that little bit extra adhesion. So that's what I do. Always work in the same direction. So whether you're working clockwise or anti-clockwise, it doesn't matter, but you really should be always glue basting in the same direction. That way when it comes to assembling our pieces later, at the back of our work, we're going to get nice, neat spinning tails at the back to reduce our bulk. So you just start working through. So what the method I'm doing here is exactly the same method that you're going to do for all your shapes. Just work around making sure that you get nice, firm up against the edge of your papers and just start working through. So the small triangles, or the small kites, sorry, they exactly the same, they're just a little bit smaller. I just keep them nice and firm at the points. We don't want extra fabric, especially at this point here, this end here. Make sure you're in the camera. This end here, you're going to have 6 points all coming together that join. So we don't want any excess fabric here at the points. If we add excess fabric, we're going to get extra bulk and they're not going to come together nicely. So in nice firm points, we don't want any excess fabric anywhere. And if you're new to glue basting, this may feel a bit awkward. You may feel a bit clumsy. You may not be getting quite the desired result. Just remember, it all comes with practice. So we just start swiping around. So we do what I've done there. We do the same for the little kites. Again, I lay them all out, wrong side of fabric facing up, place all my papers on and start the process of glue basting. When we come to our spots, okay, so again, I would lay all these out in my workspace, but obviously I don't have a lot of workspace at the moment. My dogs are going to start playing. Okay. Sorry, I had to cut there. My dogs were, 2 pugs were deciding to do zoomies. So I'll just put them in a different room. Okay, back to these. Like I said, I would normally do my whole work surface laying these out so that I can baste them all in one go, but we'll just do 3. With these, what we're doing is we want to get only the white in the circle in the center surrounded by the background. So when I'm putting my papers, I can use my reference dots as a guide. If I hadn't put my reference dots on my pieces of fabric, I need to just make sure that I'm not getting these partial dot bits on the underneath of my papers. I want complete black or complete white backgrounds. So again, we're just going to baste, rolling the fabric over nice and tight against our papers, working our way around. You'll notice I'm still working in the same direction that I do for all my other shapes. And get it in nice and tight. See how we've got the all black background? We've got no white bits poking through. So let's do our next one. I just use my glue pen, as you see, just to pick up my paper. Put it down where I want it, double check, because we don't want, it up anything like that so that the white comes through to the front. And we just baste again. Working our way around, and as my finger automatically, it's just habit for me, automatically goes to the corner I've just turned to give it that few extra seconds of pressure just to hold it down. Next one. Make sure it's on properly. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and we'll do that for all the black ones and all the white ones. We'll do that for all the plain black and white over there and the coloured ones. And then when we come to do our sim pieces, let's just push all this out of my way. Again, I'm just going to cover my work surface with my shapes. Again, and I would just line the next colour up, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to. And then I just come and drop all my papers. It's just the methodical way that I work. And then I bring it down, and again, I'm just going to go clockwise, pushing it over nice and tight, making sure those corners are nice and precise, no extra fabric. And start working your way around. So this is how we baste all our shapes. I'll show you the 6-point diamonds when we get to that stage. I'm actually looking forward to fussy cutting that deer fabric and having a play. Okay, so that's how we're basting all our shapes.